Wednesday is the deadline. The deadline to get a deal done with a player on the franchise tag, John. If by the time you're listening to this, Wednesday has passed, and Dak Prescott does not have a contract, that means he is playing on a 31 and change, right, $1 million franchise tag this year. Derrick Henry's at 10-9. What were you telling me? What's Brandon Sheriff, whose name has the coolest name that's said cooler than it looks? Brandon Sheriff.
I think it's 12.
12 million. So, I mean, that would be George. That's about what George Kittle's tag will be next year.
I got a DM. I think Grant Cohn, our buddy, tweeted that he had heard rumors that this would be George Kittle's last season on the 49ers. Someone shot me a DM that said that they had, I don't know if shopped George Kittle, but they had listened just to everything possible with George Kittle. And you go, well, I would imagine most teams, non-quarterback, probably listen to everything at the combine, right? Things are flying. Clearly the Niners were having crazy discussions about DeForest Buckner. I just think, and I talked to Kyle for a brief moment at the combine, and George Kittle was the point of the conversation, and it's just clear how they use him, what he means to them, that it feels like they like him a lot, right? I mean, I think we know they do like him a lot, but they like DeForest Buckner a lot, and they got rid of him. Now, George Kittle is a better player than DeForest Buckner. He's a superstar, all-pro, like has a chance to be a Hall of Famer. Right?
And additionally would have, I don't know that Jed York was going, hey, guys, what are you doing with DeForest to the degree that he would with George, because George is one of the faces of the league.
There is like a Khalil Mack element with the franchise, right? Like when the Raiders traded Khalil Mack, it wasn't just they had traded this great player. It was like, this was the face of our franchise, and he was a badass. Like this, as a fan, as an owner, you're just trying to get George Kittles and Khalil Mack. That's all you want, like a Rob Gronkowski. That's what you pray for. Like you just want to get that guy, right? And Fletcher Cox, Harrison Smith, J.J. Watt, like just superstar players who you draft and that are on your team. The Seahawks had it with Sherman and Earl Thomas. Like that's what you want to have that guy at minimum. In the NFL, I think if you get him for 8 years, 8 to 9, right, the second contract, you feel good. It's pretty clear, though, that this contract, and we've been talking about it for a while, could get really complicated if George just has a number and say, I'm not going to budge.
Yeah.
Because like I'm not signing your team-friendly deal, even though to me you say it's better than Austin Hooper, because I don't ever want to hear about Austin Hooper's name ever. I'm a big believer in avoid franchise tags at all costs if you can. Sometimes you can't. Like once upon a time,
from
Denver
the team
Broncos,
standpoint, you're saying?
Yeah, the team franchise Von Miller. Now they won the Super Bowl and they ended up giving him a huge extension. I just wonder if this gets a little more complicated than we thought. My pushback is, well, it never really gets complicated with the Niners when they really value a player. I would say in their history with Parag running their money, they always get the guy done fast. And sometimes it feels like, damn, they gave the guy a lot of money, and then they know it's going to go the other way. Now, where it's complicated now is the salary cap's not going to keep rising. They already have a really expensive quarterback. They just gave Eric Armstead a lot of money. Fred Warner's due next year. That I have for the first time started to come to grips with maybe this is a little more complicated than I thought. Not that I don't think he's going to get traded, and I'm not naive to think that people haven't like called what would it take. Because I texted you the other day, like there's no disputing that whenever he does get a new deal, even if he just maintains his level or sustains the level of play, the 3 years at 5th round Monday that they've already got out of him won't ever be reproduced. Like the first 3 years or 4 years, like the first 3 years of the Chiefs that just got out of Mahomes, who was the 12th overall pick, was just incredible value, and he didn't even play a year. Those first couple years for Dak and Russell Wilson, definitely Russell because they won the Super Bowl, as good as it gets. George Kittle was your best player on a team that went to the Super Bowl, and he was making like $900,000. Like that's just it won't ever get any better than that. So you can go, well, once he starts making 18, there is no margin. Like he can't get hurt, and he's already been banged up. I just understand from a front office standpoint having these conversations, especially when he goes like, you can offer me $30 million guaranteed, I will hang up the phone.
Yeah, and I also understand having those conversations when we say this all the time, when your coach is Kyle Shanahan, when your coach consistently gets the most out of guys. Now, you do have to differentiate between who are guys that he's just getting the most out of and who are just superstar players regardless of who their coach is. And it
Like
feels
would George Kittle at this
Kittle's
point in
that.
time be good with anyone?
Yeah. But I think the other thing we don't know here is what is the number that makes George Kittle not hold out? Is there a number that is below what he wants but keeps him from holding out? And is he willing to hold out? Because one thing I know is this. If George Kittle becomes a free agent, Austin Hooper's contract will be completely irrelevant. Now, we both think Austin Hooper's contract is irrelevant, but it's not irrelevant when there's a negotiation going on and the 49ers are going, we're going to pay you $34 million, and that's much more money than Austin Hooper got. We're going to pay you $36 million. We're going to pay you $38 million. He's going, I want 55, 50, 50. The fact is, if he hit free agency, do you agree with this? Austin Hooper's no one, if there's a bidding war, if there's 4 teams lining up, you can't bring up Austin Hooper when you're bidding against 3 other teams for George Kittle.
If the Niners are good this year, George Kittle has his typical all-pro season, how much money would he get in the free agent market? If he hit the open market, easily 50 guaranteed?
I mean, my thought was like 60, 55.
Yeah, it would be historic. It would be insane.
And everyone else would go, well, you fucked it up for us in the tight end market, but the team that got him would go, we got George Kittle.
Yeah. So I'm starting to come to grips. I think it's going to be a little more complicated than not. Now,
whether or not he plays on the tag is one thing, but he's getting tagged if they don't get a deal done this year, right?
We're recording this July 14th. We're 14 days away or 2 weeks from the official report date. This year it's like it's the 28th. It's a universal date because usually, remember, they stagger it through like
coaches,
a 4 or 5 day. Yeah. That one of the biggest stories in the NFL. I mean, I would say if he did not show up, that would immediately be a top 3 or 4 story in the NFL, right? Like actual football story, not like protocols and who's sick or who's not. I'm just talking like that.
How does Brady look? How does Cam look?
Yeah, like George Kittle did not show up to the 49ers.
If Derrick Henry doesn't show up, whatever. I mean, Dak.
I would say Dak would be the number 1 story if he doesn't show up. I would put George Kittle of potential non-show-up guys, like above Chris Jones, the defensive tackle. Like George Kittle's a more famous player.
Yes. Like
they're going back and forth right now. Do you see the I don't know who it was. It might have been like Jamal Adams. Oh no, it was Le'Veon Bell, because someone tweeted after Mahomes got his money, or it might have been a week before Mahomes got his money, at Chris Jones. They tweeted at him, don't be like at Le'Veon Bell and, screw up your season, like play on the franchise tag. And then Le'Veon quoted like, shut up, fam. I did it for me. I was right. You do you at C. Jones. And then C. Jones tweeted back like, yeah, what we talked about last week. Like, so they're already on the phone together.
He just got paid, John, 30 minutes ago. Chris Jones.
Chris Jones?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah. 4 years,
money?
$85 million, 60 guaranteed.
God, Veach is throwing around some cash. So if you're George Kittle, and I understand they're not the same position, you go, well, I'm equally as good as Chris Jones. Like I think George Kittle has this all-time outlier argument of just, right. You're not signing me for $28 million. I ain't fucking doing it.
Or 34 and making me feel good because I got 6 more than Hooper.
Yeah, I mean, guys, 50 is the number, and that's the minimum number. I'll give you a 50 number right now because it's way early. Again, I want to be here.
Yeah. His tag is $12 million or whatever. By next year, maybe it's 11 or 12 or $13 million, right?
But I think the Niners hate doing. When's the last time the Niners tagged a player?
I know.
I guess it was last year, Robbie.
But had a guy play on it.
But they don't like those Robbie Gould situations, right? They don't like that. I mean, that's just something that they like.
Playing with a lot more money with George Kittle, though.
No, I know, but it's because it becomes a talking point that all your players have to answer to, that your coach answers to. Like, good organizations avoid that shit. It's why people are hard on the Cowboys. Like, Jerry, why didn't you just give Dak Prescott? You could have got him for like $90 million last year. Instead, now you're going back and forth this year. Like when I was with the Eagles, they just don't franchise guys. We had to do it with Deshaun because he was always in trouble, and it's like we didn't really want to pay him. But good teams just don't really do that because then you lose leverage. When you're franchising a guy, you're basically acknowledging that you really like the player, right? And he knows that, and you need the player. That's why I would offer George Kittle right now like $45 million, like double Austin Hooper's money. And that would be something where listen, we're paying you early, we're doubling the money. And
And
I
in a
think the
year,
Niners,
you would look like
in a typical year, yeah, but like next year if the salary cap goes down a little bit, it's just.
Well, we guessed the number at 30, like 29 to 34, right?
Yeah, I if somehow the Niners were to worst case scenario from a fan standpoint trade George Kittle like the Raiders did Khalil Mack, don't you think they would get a boatload of, like the fans would be furious? If I was if I was some 20-year-old diehard Niner fan, I'd be fucking pissed. I'd be mad. I love watching the guy play.
And also remember the Mac thing had an effect on the team.
Yeah,
like on his teammates, on the locker room.
Would you say George Kittle's untradeable right now? Like if someone offered you a 1 and a 2?
I think it would be too early to do something like that. Yes, but do I think I think it'd be naive to think he is just that any player is untradeable.
Do you think a 1 and a 2 would make the Niners listen?
Right. I don't think right now I just don't know that you're ready. I don't think that's enough. Given I would wonder who's the one coming from. I don't think it's enough right now today. You're trying to win the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, because it'd probably be a good team, right? You're not trading them to the Cowboys.
There might not be a number. I mean, I think he's untradeable right now. You're trying to win the Super Bowl this year.
Because the difference with the Raiders is Gruden thought the team sucked. They ended up they did suck.
Yeah.
Where the Niners, you go, we're going to try to win the Super Bowl this year, and this guy's our best player.
So you can't do it right now. Now, could you do it next year? You could. I mean, is anybody other than quarterbacks really untradeable?
No.
But
I would not expect him to be traded. But if he doesn't have a deal going into this season, I think it's fair to say, like, this is probably contentious, might be strong, but clearly they're not on the same page, right? Because you would say, what do the Niners want to get done right now? Look at the Chiefs. They're extending all their players. The Niners would love to extend their best player. They would want, if you follow the Niners, and you're listening to this, you probably have, you know the Niners extend guys early. They're not into, like, playing out the last year of the deal. One of the reasons they didn't extend DeForest Buckner early is because I think they probably knew, like, do we really want to pay this guy huge money? Because he was asking for big money. And they tried last year.
Yeah.
They offered him, remember? That was when DeForest Instagrammed that I was an idiot. It turned out it was true. Like, he wanted huge cash, and he got it. I don't blame him.
You just said what he was asking for, what his agent had asked for, though.
Yeah, a lot of money.
I don't think it was ever proven that wasn't correct.
No, it was proven correct.
So,
well, I think he ended up getting less guaranteed money than I claimed he denied, the $60 million. The difference is their number was going to be like 16, 17 a year. His big win from the Colts,
was a short deal.
Was short deal and huge yearly cash, like 21. Though I'd push back and be like, well, DeForest. Now, when you get traded for a 1, you have leverage, right? They don't just cut you after 2 years. Like you think a 1 and a contract guarantees you 3 years, regardless of the guaranteed money? When I trade a 1 for you?
Yeah, I mean, to me, unless the whole operation turns over and you get a new coach and a new GM, it's maybe a new owner, you're pretty set.
And he's kind of a recession-proof player because he's like, well, he just plays hard.
Yes, even him not worth his money is still an NFL starter, Pro Bowl level player, or whatever.